Hello and welcome to my channel, Living in the Light. I'm Elizabeth and I'm documenting my health transformation using the Optavia 5-in-1 program. Join me today as we talk about marinara sauce. We use marinara sauce, I believe, for a lot of recipes. Sometimes we use it to make pizza, sometimes we use it with pasta or with the Optavia 5-in-1 program. You might use something like spaghetti squash, zucchini noodles. My favorite is the palmini hearts of palm noodles, which I really enjoy. But marinara sauce, to find one that is compliant, that fits into the program with the right macros, can be very difficult. A lot of times they're very high in sugar. And so most people will use a product like Rao's, which is one that is approved on program. This jar is a 24-ounce jar, $6.88 at Walmart. That's a lot of money. And if you use marinara sauce regularly at all, it can get very pricey. I personally would rather make my own and know exactly what I'm putting into it. So I'm going to show you a budget-friendly way of making a compliant marinara sauce that you can portion out and freeze and pull out just what you need for each recipe. The first thing that I'm going to use is a more expensive tomato. It is $3.82 for a can, and I am using 3 cans, but these are 28-ounce cans. So already one can is giving me more product than one jar at half the price. So I'm going to end up with a lot of marinara sauce in my freezer, but it is going to be well worth it. So it is going to start out with the cans of San Marzano tomatoes. To that, I'm gonna add some extra virgin olive oil, garlic. I could do the garlic cloves, but I'm gonna cheat and just use the stuff in the tube. A little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to use some basil. This is freeze dried, so it's a little different than just the totally dried, and it's better, I think, than the fresh, kind of in between the fresh and the dried, and then some dried oregano. And that is all I'm going to use for this recipe. The process of doing this is to start, I do 1 can at a time. I've already opened these to save some time. I'm going to dump it into a bowl. And make sure that you scrape out all of the tomato puree that's in there because you want all of that flavor. So I'm going to start 1 tomato at a time, and I'm going to slightly crush it up. It'll explode a little bit. And what I want to do is pull out, sometimes within the tomato, you have the stem end, which can be a little bit tough. And so I'm going to pull off all of the tender little pieces and then make sure that I get rid of that really tough end of the tomato. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the stem end, and you can tell where the stem end is. Just grab that stem end with your fingers and just pull off at the other end all of the little pieces, and then just dump that stem into the trash. Sometimes the smaller ones don't have as much stem to them, but you definitely don't want that tough part in your sauce. Once I've pulled the stems off, I'm just going to give the tomatoes a little squeeze with my fingers. I'm going to then dump everything into my pot on the stove. This is messy. And then I'm going to move on to can number 2. I have all of my tomatoes hand crushed in the pot, ready to go on the stove. I did neglect to mention in the ingredients list that you need 6 tablespoons of finely minced onions, which worked out to be 1 small onion about that big, came up to be 6 tablespoons. So I'm going to dump all of my ingredients in. I'll remind you again of what I'm doing as I do that. So that's 6 tablespoons of finely minced onion. You can see how They're small little pieces, so it's fine. They're gonna cook down, doesn't really matter. I have 3 teaspoons of minced garlic. This came out of a tube. You can mince it yourself, either way is fine. I have 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. I have a tablespoon of basil leaves. I'm going to do just a pinch of dried oregano, like not even 1/4 teaspoon. A few grinds of black pepper, and literally a pinch of salt. And then I'm going to mix all of this together. I'm going to put my burner on low. I'm going to let it simmer. It's going to simmer most of the day. I'll stir it occasionally. You can cook it for however long you want to cook it. That's completely up to you. I feel like the longer it cooks, the more concentrated the flavors become. A lot of the liquid will evaporate out, and you end up with a thicker and more flavorful sauce. So I will show you the next step later this afternoon when I come back. Before I jump in and I show you how I take care of the sauce, the next step for the sauce, if you didn't think I was a genius before today, I'm going to show you something right now that will prove that I am a genius. Aprons are hard to find for big girls. And when you are doing something like making spaghetti sauce, getting them dirty, having to have multiple aprons, that can sometimes be a chore. So I came up with what I think is the best solution. And you don't have to be a big girl. You can be a small girl to do this. I bought on Amazon a cheap old pair of suspenders with the clips on the top and the bottom. I take a regular old kitchen towel and I clip the top of the suspenders up here, and then I wrap the straps around and I clip here. And then when I get my apron dirty, I just take the towel, throw it in the wash, add another towel. Genius apron hack. The marinara has been simmering for several hours now. So what I'm going to do, my next step, is just to take my immersion blender, stick it down inside the pot, and I'm going to puree all of the sauce and make it as smooth as possible. All right, I think that's good. I'm going to let this sit here and cool off. It's probably going to take a couple hours for it to cool off. And then I'm going to come back and show you how I portion it and get it into the freezer so that I can have Rao's marinara sauce whenever I need it. The final step, another genius hack, is I have muffin cups and I have the silicone muffin cup liners. My ice cream scoop is a 1/4 cup scoop. So I know when I scoop this up and I put that in there that I have a 1/4 cup already in. So I'm going to scoop into all of my muffin cups. I've already done one tray. I slide that tray into the freezer. As soon as these are frozen solid, I can take, and I'll do that tomorrow morning, I'll pop the marinara out of the silicone mold, put them all in a Ziploc bag, keep them in the freezer, and just pull one out as it is needed. I've got a little bit of sauce left here. I'll just put that into a container and stick it in the fridge and try to get that used up this week. I hope that this is really helpful to you. Again, please like, please subscribe, and join me again. I might be cooking, I might be organizing, I might be telling you how my week went, but I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye guys.